Hi, welcome back to the Intervention channel. My name is Steve Bruno, and the subject or the story that I'm going to tell today is called Into the Lion's Den. And this is a story about the first intervention I ever did. And it was a very educational experience for me, and I hope that it can provide the same for you, whether you're a professional looking to help your clients or whether you are a family member looking to help someone you love who is stuck, addicted to drugs or alcohol. This story certainly presents some food for thought. So I had just graduated from my 7th program, the one that put me into just the best shape of my life, arguably, and I wanted to do an intervention. I had gotten a book on the subject, probably the most famous book, the book called Intervention, and I mildly agreed with it. I marginally agreed with it. Most of the stuff, a lot of the stuff I didn't agree with. It was helpful-ish. I don't know. I got more out of the lunches that the director of the program took me out on and would talk to me about the interventions that he did. He gave me some great information. He said, don't let the mothers boss you around. So if you're a mom, you're not going to boss me around if we end up working together. No, but it was very good and very educational. Anyway, I bugged the intake counselor, Stacy. You got anything for me? You got anything? And then one day she said, call this family. They're waiting for your call. So the spotlight turns on. I got, she says, here's a check. They paid us, so we're paying you. And had this check for my full fee, getting paid up front. I didn't cash it. I thought, I'm just going to hang on to this in case I need to give it back to them and run away. I was so nervous. And so I went up to Sacramento, and I'll never forget. I remember the tree in the front yard. I remember the front door. I remember walking up to the front door, knocking, and I look into the living room. The sister opens the door. The mother is on the couch crying. The sister is comforting her. One of the guy's brothers is pacing, talking. Nobody is really listening to him. I didn't think. The father has his arms crossed, a kind of gruff, expression on his face over in the corner. And I thought, and the addict is this 30-year-old methamphetamine addict. He's locked up in his house. He hasn't seen the family in 2 months. There were no family ties to speak of. No financial ties with the family. He was wanted by the DEA and the FBI. Apparently, this is according to his cop father, so I had really no reason to disbelieve him. And I thought, man, I know this family. This is my family. This family is exactly like my family. And this addict is just like me. And I immediately found myself just swimming with energy to help these guys. I felt like I could have told him when the phone was going to ring. I was that predictive. At least I felt that predictive. So before I even walked in, here's lesson number 1. Before I even walked in, the mother she sees me, she gets up, she walks over to me, and she says, well, first of all, I want to know how you're going to get David to admit he has a problem. And I thought, well, why in God's name would I do that? What do you need a confession in order to acknowledge that he has a problem? He obviously has a problem. And I asked her, I said, do you not know that he has a problem? I mean, what is the purpose of this? And I remember, mind you, this is my first intervention. I wasn't entirely aware of the fact that many people have this misguided idea that in order for treatment to work, an addict has to make some kind of a confession to his family, which I don't know who the hell came up with it, but it's inane. It's completely counterproductive. It is going to tank your intervention to stack up that kind of agenda onto it, and there's no upside, believe me. And just on that point, how many people in recovery do you know who attribute their recovery to what they did or did not confess to their mother before they went into a program? Right? I know exactly how many. None. So So she asked me, well, how are you going to get him to admit he has a problem? And I just told her, I said, well, there's no need for him to admit anything. And I told her my story. I said, look, I went in under duress. I went in as a result of an intervention. I didn't really want to go in. And it was the program that actually ended up working. All the other times I went in with bells on and my meditation book ready to go. And they failed, one after the other. The last program I went in under duress. I didn't really feel like going. And historically, you know, just to kind of, in present time, looking back, I've done hundreds of interventions, many of which resulted in the person going in complete denial. Well, I'm not the one with the problem, they're the ones with the problem. Well, it's not as bad as they think. I mean, I did have a problem, but it's not bad now, blah, 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 blah. And then within a couple short weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, the person is coming for a landing, has cleaned up, is looking back on his life, and says, maybe calls his family, and says, thank you for getting me in. Thank you for helping get my head out of my ass, getting me into this program, and you know, I'm sorry for all the trouble that I've caused. So the whole notion of getting a person in denial as being, you know, a false start or not a good idea is just, you just have to disregard that. As many people who might be telling you, therapists, people at Al-Anon meetings, AA meetings, I don't really care. As someone who does this professionally and has made the observation, well, one thing you can ask them if somebody is telling you this is, where do you get your information? Where are the statistics that show this? There aren't any. There aren't any. Okay, people go into treatment in denial all the time, and they do great. So that was one of the first lessons that I learned, is that a lot of people believe that, including her, that in order for treatment to work, a person has to admit he has a problem. She was asking me how I'm going to get to David, to admit he has a problem, and the answer is, I'm not. Why would I do that? For your emotional payoff, or for some sort of misguided theory that some therapist told you somewhere? I was not going to allow myself to give in, and so I didn't. We're going to do this in a couple of parts. You can ask questions below in the comments section. You can go to my website, stevebruno.com. There's a contact form there. But we're going to move right along into part 2. I like to mention my book. There is a chapter called Into the Lion's Den in my book, and it's in the first sort of section, which is my journey from addict to interventionist, and you can read the whole story there. It's called More Than Hope, and it's available on Amazon and Kindle. I'm going to put a link below. You can order that or download the Kindle version of it. Click the subscribe button. Certainly if you're a professional, you want to click subscribe. I have interviews, all kinds of things coming up all the time, and you'll get notified of new subjects, and you'll be able to refer your clients here. And then if you're the loved one of an addict or alcoholic, certainly shop around. But before you shop around for videos, other videos to watch, click on part 2 of Into the Lion's Den. My name is Steve Bruno, and thank you for watching the Intervention channel.